Thank you for joining me in my sunroom chat. Today I will discuss magnetism. Magnets have been known for thousands of years, but how the north pole of one magnet attracts the south pole of another magnet remains a mystery. The repulsion forces created between two magnets is also a mystery. In this sunroom chat, I will apply West's theory to explain magnetic force fields. Scientists tell us that the magnetic properties of a magnet are created by the electrons that are bipolar for the magnetic force, as shown in the next slide. Scientists have shown that the North Pole magnetic field arises from one end of the electron and the South Pole field from the opposite end of the electron. The fields are ejected in opposite directions. Scientists have shown that when two electrons are aligned with their magnetic fields oriented in the same direction, the fields are enhanced. However, when two electrons are oriented with their fields in opposite directions, the north and south fields are canceled. West's theory states the magnetic fields are canceled because they bond, perhaps by entanglement. This observation demonstrates that we're dealing with two different fields. This is explained by elastic string theory as follows. The electron creates both north pole and south pole magnetic strings. I call the strings magnons. Magnons are created like all virtual elastic strings. They begin as virtual particles that are ejected by electrons, photons, and quarks. In the top portion of this illustration, an electron has ejected a north pole virtual particle. Because it remains connected to the electron, it creates an N-magnon virtual elastic string. In the same manner and in the same time frame, the electron also ejects a south pole virtual particle that creates the S-magnon virtual elastic string. The electron remains neutral for the magnetic fields because it creates both fields at the same time. A little reorientation might help. The north pole magnetic strings are called N-magnons. The south pole magnetic strings are called S-magnons. Both strings occur in the same time frame. North and south pole magnons are complementary strings that bond together. Bonding may be due to entanglement. The electron is neutral for the magnetic force because the graviton matrix sweeps the electron strings to the rear where they meet and bond. It is important to emphasize that bonding between complementary strings neutralizes the individual strings. This is the reason the electron is neutral for the magnetic force. However, we are able to utilize the magnetic properties of electrons by building bar magnets. Iron is often used for this purpose because there are 4 electrons that can be brought into alignment to increase the magnetic effect. I have illustrated this in the following slide. In a bar magnet, the magnetic fields in the center of the magnet cancel each other out, but the electrons at either end eject their magnons into space. Free N-magnons create the north pole magnetic field. Free S-magnons create the south pole magnetic field. The magnetic fields in the center bond and neutralize each other when complementary strings meet, as shown in this illustration. A force of attraction is only possible when complementary strings are involved. Complementary strings have the same mass, but a different structure in space. N-magnons and S-magnons are complementary strings. Perhaps they bond because of entanglement. Identical strings do not bond like complementary strings, which allows the magnon virtual particles to act as battering rams and force two electrons apart, as shown in the next slide. This slide illustrates how magnon virtual particles slam into the opposing magnets and drive them apart. Identical strings do not bond to each other in the same manner as complementary strings. This allows the magnon virtual particles to slam into the opposing magnets and drive the two magnets apart. In this manner, magnon virtual particles cause a force of repulsion between magnets. Thank you for attending today's sunroom chat. On the next slide, I summarize a few key points of today's discussion. Following this slide is a thought for you to consider, and a slide showing my website where you can read my book and view all of my movies in their correct order. You have a nice day. N-magnons and S-magnons are complementary strings that bond together, most likely by entanglement. The bonding between complementary strings neutralizes the two strings. Bonded complementary strings retract and create a force of attraction between two particles. A force of repulsion is created when identical magnons face each other. They remain free to act as battering rams that drive two magnets apart.